Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are doing a short solo episode where I just wanted to introduce you to the concept of story versus fact. And I bring this up because lots of you have been messaging me about the self coaching episode that I did and just how much it spoke to your core. And I'm so glad that it did, because for me, self coaching has been and still continues to be an integral part of my day, an integral part of my life, and of all of the teaching that I offer within all of our coaching programs and the High Performance Nursing membership. It is the epitome of an amazing, flexible tool that literally is so robust in the sense that nothing cannot be put into the self coaching model. And like anything can be put in there. I think I said that wrong. Anything can be put in there and it will spit out a result that we are creating from the thoughts that we're choosing to have subconsciously about the situations that we're in. And then we get to decide what next. And how exciting is that? It's one of the beautiful things about being human, is that we get to really embrace the duality of life, right? The peaks and the troughs, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the success, the failure. But instead, our primitive human brain is like, hold on a minute, like you failed. That sucks. Like you're shit. Oops, I shouldn't have swore. You're shit, right? And our brain offers that to us as if it's like gospel truth. And I see it all the time in coaching and coaching beautiful humans at the moment in the Graduate Career Launch program and in our application support and our CCAP. And they have these thoughts and these beliefs, right, that they believe so strongly are true. And one of my jobs as your coach is to be like, like one of my jobs as your coach is to stay out of the story that you're telling me and just to become the observer of all of the thoughts that you're throwing at me. And then my job is to pick one thought that I think is the challenge for you. And it doesn't really matter which one I pick, because ultimately we dive deep into it and it unravels the actual thought that is the problem. And we believe these thoughts to be so true. We have 60,000 thoughts a day, right? And we believe that all of them are facts. And it's really, really interesting as a coach to watch people and even just to watch my own mind. Because when we're in the moment, when that patient's throwing a tanty and the relative's complaining about the care, our brain is like, you are a terrible nurse, right? Your primitive brain offers up all these really unhelpful thoughts. If you're anything like me, then you will have these thoughts and you'll believe them to be true because you're like, well, there's evidence here to suggest that I'm not great. So maybe I should just lean into this, right? But I want you to recognize like how that makes you feel when you believe that that is a fact. And the beautiful thing about coaching, becoming the observer of your thoughts, is you get to assess it. Is it actually a fact, or is it a story that I'm telling about a situation that I'm currently experiencing? And then from there, we can kind of assess it for truth. So one of the best ways to do this that I recommend you guys do this is just by downloading all of your thoughts that you have about anything. So maybe you're going for an interview, maybe you're exploring setting up a side hustle, maybe you're going for a promotion, maybe you want to change specialty, maybe you're doing none of that and you want to communicate your boundaries to your partner or your best mate, whatever it might be. I want you to write down all of the thoughts that you're having about it. And I want you to see how your brain just reacts to that and all of the things that it's going to write down and how it's going to really try to collect all of the evidence to prove the thoughts that it's presenting to you to be true, right? It's going to be like, well, of course you're a terrible friend. You didn't text back within 30 minutes or whatever the rule might be, the unspoken truth. Or, of course, you're not going to get this promotion because John's been here 3 months longer than you have. And, the 3 months really makes a huge difference, right? Thanks, brain. I want you to really look at them from afar once you've wrote them down. And I want you to see how much your brain really tries to prove them all to be true, to prove that they're all factual. It wants you to hold on to those thoughts for dear life. And here's the reason why. Because thinking something alternative takes effort. Your brain has practiced believing all of these stories are factual for a long, long time. Okay. There's no equal airtime in your brain at the moment. Arguably, potentially, there's probably not a lot of equal airtime happening where your brain offers a subconscious primitive thought with, like, I'm not good enough. And then your prefrontal cortex jumps in to the rescue and says, well, no, actually, you are good enough. How much of that is happening for you? I'd be really curious, because I think this is where a lot of us dive deep into burnout. We dive deep into having a negative mindset, or, a fixed mindset. And we're never here to judge anybody's headspace where they're at. There's a lot of things that are happening, but what I do want everybody that's listening to see and to hear is that the thoughts that we have are subconscious thoughts that we've just practiced believing over a long period of time. Okay. And it's kind of really exciting, because we then have a choice. Like, do we want to keep believing that they are factual? Or do we want to question the stories that we're running? And do we want to get curious about them in a kind and compassionate, respectful way to explore, are they actually true? Is this serving me to believe that I'm not good enough? I mean, what is the upside to thinking that you're not good enough, right? But my brain offers that all the time. The minute that I hit record, it's like, you're going to this up, Liam, right? And it dives into that place. And my job, my prefrontal cortex, my rational adult part of my brain, its job is then to jump in and be like, you got this, right? And I do, like I said this the other week on a podcast, on a live, it's like you're in a matron, right? It's kind of like these two parts of us. We've got the highest version of ourselves that really wants to show the world, like, to lead the way, be the example, be the person that shows what's possible. And then we've got our primitive part of our brain that's like, no, who do you think you are? Stay right here. It's like the angel and the devil, right? The inner matron, the external matron, like, whatever you want to think of it like. We're often not giving equal airtime to the two. We're often indulging, can't speak today, I think I'm having a little TIA, often indulging in the primitive brain thoughts, right? And like, how is that serving us to spend all our time there? And what I found to be true was, when I was working in the system as a nurse, that it was actually sometimes really hard to lean into the positive thoughts, because sometimes we're just surrounded by such negativity. And I want to give you permission, if that's you and you feel that. I don't want you to use that as an excuse per se, but I want you to just look at that and see how that's impacting you, because it definitely does play a part in it. I mean, I've worked in teams where people are pretty Debbie Downer, like pretty negative, and it does impact you. You don't want to be around them, you don't want to see them, you don't want to hear from them, but they're like, your peer, and you've got to do everything with them. So it does take a toll. When you have a day and you work with somebody really fun and bubbly, like, you have a really great day. But what I want you to see is that it's not actually the person and how they present that's a problem. It's our thought about the person, right? So we can choose a better thought intentionally, but your brain initially is going to offer you up like, oh God, I'm working with so-and-so today, right? And that could be problematic for you. So I digress. But I want you to really see that the thoughts that you're being offered by your primitive brain are just practiced, deeply ingrained beliefs and thoughts. Okay. A belief is just a thought that you've practiced over and over again, right? So if that's true, then it means that you could practice a new thought over and over again and create new beliefs about you, about your life, about your relationship, about your weight, about your money, about your income, about your career, anything. It's totally possible for you. I think we lean into nursing and we think like, oh, well, we've just got to stay stuck. It's not going to change, right? How many of us tell ourselves that? Like, it's never going to change. It's going to be the same forever. How's that serving us? To think that that is actually true. Like, where's the fact in that? And I love reminding myself this, like, I chose to become a nurse. And I think sometimes it sounds harsh, but that is just a thought. But we chose to be a nurse, right? And then people say, oh, but I didn't choose this. Well, you now have a choice. Do you want to stay or do you want to do something about it? Right. And we kind of like just love our brain. The primitive brain loves to just sit in that pity party and just be like, but woe is me. Like, look at me. I'm suffering because of this external thing. And it's never the case. I want you to free yourself of that, because if you are someone that's listening to this right now and you think it's factual that the things in the world create your thoughts and your feelings, you probably want to stop listening to this podcast. It is not true. Okay. And I am living proof of it. Like, I thought, I trust me, that was me. I thought that my ADOM was causing my problems. I thought that my DOM was causing the problems. I thought that the team that I had was causing the problems. I thought the bad employee on my team was causing all the issues in my life, was causing me to eat more. I mean, it's friggin' ridiculous when I look at it now. Of course, no one else can cause me to eat more, right? It's me that puts the food in my mouth. It's me that puts the 10 kilos on, right? So it's not about us hating ourselves or blaming ourselves or whatever. It's just about us raising our awareness and taking back responsibility and ownership and self-leadership around the truth. And sometimes the truth feels a little uncomfortable, and that's okay, because we feel all our feelings here and we just go all in, because we know that the worst thing that can ever happen to us is that we feel a feeling. Okay. And when we truly understand that, you become unstoppable. Because things like recording a podcast or applying for a new job or calling the manager for the first time or setting boundaries with your num who thinks that you're going to work all the overtime, when you allow yourself to just feel all the feelings and manage your mind around these situations that are completely neutral and external to you, you take back all your power and you love life. It's just so freeing. So when you are downloading all your thoughts and you're looking at the situations in your life and you're having thoughts about them, I want you to start getting curious about story versus fact. Is this a fact? And by fact, I mean, is it provable in a court of law that everybody, the 9 billion people on this planet, would believe it to be true? Okay, not just one, not just you and your primitive brain. 9 billion people need to believe that it's true. It would be provable in a court of law. They would argue over it and debate it, and it would be proven true. That is how we assess a fact. It is impossible that 60,000 thoughts a day are all factual. Okay. So give yourself a bit of wiggle room, explore it, get curious about it. Is it a fact? Is it a story? Is it a story that your brain is offering you to keep you safe, to keep you stuck? Because it thinks that by stepping out of the cave of stuckness, it's not very good English, but cave of stuckness, that you're going to be, in danger. And we know it's not true, right? Your brain's just trying to be nice. Primitive brain's just like, hey, hey, stay here. It's much better here. Because our brain is like, our brain is, it's like a ventilator, right? It's like a ventilator. It wants to operate as efficiently as possible, and it wants to get the best result for you or the patient on the ventilator with the least amount of effort required, right? Like, we don't want to be changing the CPAP and the BiPAP all the time to get the right settings. Like, now they're so smart, these ventilators, that they just do it automatically. If they take a shallow breath, they give them a deeper breath, or they manage the PEEP and they manage the CPAP or whatever they're on, and it just tailors it accordingly, right? And that's what we want to kind of offer ourselves. Is just be flexible in our approach with it and explore it and just assess and see how it's serving us, yeah, with all of the thoughts that we're choosing to think. The stories that we have practiced running for a long time are going to be deeply, deeply ingrained. And it's going to take time. And that's all right, because we've all got time. And the important thing is that we just start questioning them. Is this true? And remember, most people, not listening to this podcast, but most people, and there's nothing wrong with it, but most people just rinse and repeat their past. Okay. They've done something before and they just rinse and repeat it all the time. And that's fine. That serves some people for sure. I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not one of those people. And that there's something more. You have that feel, that pull, that push towards something that is bigger than you and that you're evolving to, that higher version of yourself. And it's totally possible. But what we need to do is we need to rewrite those past stories, and we need to look at those thoughts and just assess them. Is this story, is this fact? And then once we have the facts, we can assess the thoughts that we're having about those facts. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of work to be done in this space for a lot of us. And that is a beautiful thing. If you are somebody that wants to dive into this, you need to be on a high performance nursing waitlist to get in. This is something that we cover in the membership, in the waitlist. We go deep into mindset, deep into rewriting all of the stories that we're running and really assessing how they're serving us and seeing what is possible when we rewrite them and we move forward. I know firsthand, I have had so many stories about believing what was possible for me and not believing what was possible. And this year, I feel like that's what I've been doing. I've been proving my brain wrong the whole year. And I continue to do that by just questioning with kindness, compassion, self-love, respect, the thoughts that my brain offer me to be true. And then I coach on them. And I take them to my coaching call every week and I get coached on them. And that is why I'm able to create the results that I have in my life currently, working full time in my business with 22,000 podcast downloads and working towards my income goals. That is what is possible when you manage your mind. Now, not everybody wants the same thing, but whatever it is that you want and you're working towards, the key to unlocking that for you is not in taking the action and getting the certificate and doing all the things. It's seeing what's happening in your mind and then seeing what feeling that's generating, seeing what action that creates or the inaction it creates in your life, and then the results that you're creating for yourself, and then assessing if it's serving you and seeing if that's how you want to show up for you. So I will leave you with that. If you want to join us in the membership, join the wait list. Thank you so much for your time today. And I will see you in the next episode. Get super curious about the stories versus facts that your brain is offering you. Thank you so much for watching the High Performance Nursing podcast. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for all future video notifications. If you want to dive deeper into this work, please come and join us in the High Performance Nursing membership. All the links are in the comments below. We would love to see you there and help you thrive within your nursing life, career, and mindset. Let's do this.